Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Mystic Mayhem. Now, in today's video, we are going to finally be going over some of the gearing and optimization of your characters. I've been getting a lot of DMs on Discord and beyond about, why some people are getting stuck in their progress, and that means like they're not able to clear some of their missions. And to be honest, it's because some people are forgetting to equip and upgrade their highlights. These are super, super important. They're honestly just as important as gearing up your character. So in the first half of the video, we're going to be covering highlights and other things that increases your progression, increases your power. In the second half, we're going to be focusing on artifacts, because depending on what character you're using, or characters plural, in your main roster, there's different considerations for both highlights a little bit and on artifacts as well, because some artifacts are a little bit more tailored to certain characters than others. We're going to be covering both of those things here today, so if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Now, first off, I just want to kind of take a look at my roster. This is what I am using right now in terms of my characters. I could level up maybe like a couple of more, but honestly, I don't need to. And actually, in fact, I'm going to be refunding Falcon a little while. There's a reason. I was just doing all this because of what I talked about yesterday about gems. I was bringing characters up to get gems from all my characters, the free 20 gems that you get. My main characters that I primarily use, though, is Scarlet Witch for special damage, Juggernaut as kind of tanky special damage, Dream Queen. I absolutely love Dream Queen. We'll talk about more about my top characters and like how I'm using them in a different video. I'm also using Doppelganger for physical damage. I'm using a little bit of Moon Girl and Devil Dino now. The only reason I actually kind of like her now. I kind of rated her poorly on my tier list, but I kind of regret not bumping her up a little bit. But also the reason why is everyone's getting her for free, and also everyone's getting her free legendary highlight for free as well. So that's something I want to talk about as well. And then Lady Bullseye, who I need to bring up a little bit more. I need to bring her back up to 33 like the rest of them. Really solid physical range DPS. So these are my characters that I'm using. Let's start talking about highlights, okay? Or let's just really quickly just run over the fact that you can upgrade your characters to the max level, right? That's the first step of power progression. It's just leveling up your characters, ascending them when they need to, and then making sure that your talents, aka your skill tree or whatever, your skills are upgraded, right? Make sure you do that. Make sure you're running the rune raids to get all of those things that you need for the upgrades, right? That's the bare minimum essentially. So that's for every character. It sounds pretty obvious, but some people might have forgot that. Let's talk about highlights, though. So yes, I did buy the pack for Scarlet Witch, and yes, I did buy the follow-up pack, which allowed me to buy Scarlet Witch's highlight. The reason why I did this is because she's OP as all F. She is, when I played her in the alpha and the beta, she was still really, really strong. And she's still my best character that I have. And so yes, I decided to buy this highlight because if you see what it does, the wearer's crit rate increases by 25%. So that should just tell you right off the bat that crit rate is very important for Scarlet Witch, right? After the wearer uses a buff skill, which is her other ability, their attack increases by 20% for 15 seconds, which is a lot. And then if you use that buff and then do the ult, go into the ult, it's just crazy damage. Additional effect when equipped by Scarlet Witch, special damage increases by 7%. So you can actually give this to another character, right? As long as they're a striker, but this is primarily because you can see that Scarlet Witch is in the background. It's primarily designed for Scarlet Witch. But I could, if I wanted to, if I could give it to, so they're not locked to certain characters. I could give it to Lady Bullseye if I wanted to, but I would only get this stuff. I wouldn't get the Scarlet Witch, the special damage 7%. She's not even special damage anyways, so I wouldn't get that. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about as far as highlights, so making sure that you upgrade this like you would your own character level is very important. So every time you level up, your account levels up, level up your main character, level up your highlight. That's basically what I would do. Also, you can refund, like I said yesterday, you can refund all of this stuff for free. So if you screw up or you upgrade another highlight and you don't want it anymore, you can get rid of it. So the other thing that you can do, and this is going to be primarily for all, it's all for all highlights, but you're going to probably make use of this more for blue highlights. You can fuse them into each other. So that's awakening. And that's a good thing. You want to do this. So if you have multiple copies, like boom, 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 you can see how the upgrade goes all the way up to an awakening stage of 5. So the wearer's attack increases by 12%, goes all the way up to 18% if you awaken times 5. There's no reason not to do this, frankly, unless you just have no need for them at all. but you might use this on some of your other characters, and it depends on what you have available to you, right? If you're doing some summons, you're going to eventually stack up on some of these highlights, so it makes sense to do that. And same with purple, right? You know, it makes sense to awaken them as well. Awaken everything that you get. There's no reason not to. And if for some reason you screw up, like I said, you can go back and you can refund it, and that's not a big problem. So these are really important, but you have to really look at, some of them are more basic than others. Like the blue ones, just attack by 18%, that's fine. The major difference level for level between the different rarities is that they're going to have a higher stat a cap, I guess you could say. So a level 30 purple is going to be less than, sorry, it's going to be more than a level 30 blue, is going to be less than a level 30 yellow or orange or whatever color you want to call that. And so you want to take a look at what it does. Like for this one, for example, the wearer's attack increases by 16%, but the wearer deals 6% more damage to debuffed enemies. Now, this has Misty Knight in the background. So this is designed for Misty Knight because she does do debuffs. Lady Bullseye does not. And so while I'm not really, I would get it to take advantage of this if I have somebody else on my team that is doing debuffs, which I often do. So that's not a big problem. So just keep in mind for some of those things that it may not apply to every single character. So those are just for the striker characters. If I go to Juggernaut, for example, I'm using the Hulk's highlight here that I have. I have a few others, but Juggernaut does damage based on max HP. So this gives me plus 16% HP. And the enemies adjacent to him deal 8% less damage to the wearer. Typically, I'm running a build where it's Juggernaut, Dream Queen, and Scarlet Witch, so I don't have anyone else adjacent to Juggernaut, so I am taking advantage of this. Now, as far as this one, you can see the armor's in the background, whereas defense increases by 16%. So Juggernaut does not scale on his damage and things like that with defense, so that's why I'm not using it. But you can use this anyways. If you don't have anything better, you can use these, and it's not really that big of a problem. But I would read the text and make sure that it applies to the certain character. Sometimes these are a little bit less clear, right? You know, because you just have a bunch of characters in the background. HP by 16%. For each ally near the wearer takes 10% less damage. So if I am running this, say, for example, with Juggernaut with some other melees, then I would probably want, this would be a bit better than the Hulk one, because I would then get this, right? For each ally. So if there was like 2 other melee characters with Juggernaut, then he would take 20% less damage, which is pretty big. So again, you want to make sure you're running the best highlight that you can for the characters that you're using, right? And that's really important. And making sure that you keep up to date with the enhancements, which is going to use the same materials as leveling up your character. So if you want to, for example, ascend Falcon, right? You know, you need like 4 of these sprouts. You're going to use these to also ascend highlights. So just kind of important that you're kind of using both materials. As far as what you should prioritize, the levels probably first and then the highlights, because you need the levels in order to be able to activate some of these other skills. You need a certain amount of level. I think it's level 31 or something like that to access this, right? Reach 31, 41 to unlock, and so on and so forth. But this makes a huge difference to your power, because I've had some people say that they can't clear certain levels, or they haven't been able to clear certain Trials of Vishantis, for example, like Trials of Vishanti 2, which I believe is a Hulk boss, and then level 20, right, was a boss with Doctor Strange. And if you're having troubles with some of this, it's probably because you haven't maxed out your highlights, or you haven't actually done it as high as you should. So I just wanted to start there, and in the second half, I want to talk about artifacts. All right, and to start things off with artifacts, I'm here to talk about Scarlet Witch just to start. Now, the one thing I will say on the outset is understand your character, understand what they do, understand how they scale with their damage as well. So for Scarlet Witch, for example, it says that basically Scarlet Witch's attack as special damage, right? Different characters scale with different stats. Some characters scale with attack, some scale with HP, and I think some of the tanks scale with defense. I think armor scales with defense, right? So all of these are important in terms of understanding what you need to kind of boost up the damage for your variety of characters, or healing in some sense, right? In some cases, right? Like, so I keep calling him Dreamwalker, but Sleepwalker, right? He heals, if you go into the actual the talent tree, I think it says more, heals allies of his max HP, right? So you're going to want Sleepwalker, if you're using Sleepwalker anyways, you're going to want him to have more HP, right? Because that's going to have more healing. But then it's also based on his attack for damage. So I don't use Sleepwalkers. That was a really poor example, but it was the only healer character that I really had. Hulk, for example, you can see what he scales based on, and his healing is going to be based, his damage is going to be based on his attack, and then his healing is also based on his max HP. And then actually the Shockwave ability is also based on Hulk's max HP. Hulk's attack. So he's a bit of a hybrid one, but honestly, I like Shockwave as a, if I am using the Hulk, which I'm not right now, Shockwave is a better skill, and it is scales based on his HP. So if I had to build Hulk, I would build him on HP rather than attack. So let's talk about artifacts. There's a handful of different ones. Every artifact has a special ability. So Unstable Molecules, which I'm using for Scarlet Witch right now, increases the wearer's attack by 10%. The reason why I'm using it is because it's purple. I could be using the hand shuriken, which is probably, honestly, I probably should be. But you also have to take a look at the substats as well. So its primary is attack, right? Attack, that's fine. That's what you want for DPS characters. Right now, I'm basically comparing the 10% attack versus the 12% crit, but also the substats. So this substat that I have on this particular hand shuriken is energy generation 7.6%. So that means you're going to get to your ultimate a little bit faster. Defense at 18.3%. And this is why I'm not running it, at least on Scarlet Witch, because that's a lot of defense that I don't really want. Now I put it on my my doppelganger because he is more melee. He is going to take more damage than Scarlet Witch is, most likely because he's more in the melee front of things. Also has HP as well. But the Unstable Molecules, while it does have flat defense here, and I'm not a big fan of that either, it does also come alongside 6.2% crit rate and 18.2% attack. Those are the substats that I happen to roll when you level an artifact up. So every 4 levels, maybe I'll swap over to the we should be able to level up actually the shuriken, and I can show you what happens. So basically every 4 levels, you're going to get the main stat that's going to upgrade, and that's fine. Okay, 5, 6, 7, and then when I hit level 8, it's going to randomly level up one of these substats and boost them up further. And it went into defense. So I have 27.3% defense on this hand shuriken. Again, not a stat I really want on Scarlet Witch, but this might have some value on Doppelganger. Though being a damage-based character, I would have rather had more of those. So keep in mind, you also can't really refund artifacts. I just did this for the purposes of the video. But this one here, this Unstable Molecules, has attack percent as the second substat, HP flat, that's okay, and crit rate. So this is actually pretty good as well. It's not as good as this, though. The 18.2% crit rate, or sorry, attack from Scarlet Witch's artifact is really, really important. Now, I want to talk more about kind of support characters. So we talked about a lot about damage characters. So let's talk about Dream Queen, who is more of a support character because of her buffs, right? I really like this. Gives them 3 mana and also replaces all your cards with new cards and increases skill damage by a whopping 75% in some cases. It's quite insane, actually. But as far as what artifacts I run on her, I run the Avengers ID card. Now, I really like this particular one for support and maybe some control-y type characters because this increases all allies' attacks by 15% for 10 seconds after I use my ultimate. So I'm already, buffing up my skills with Dream Queen's ultimate, but the Avengers ID card is going to do it even more so. So those are the kinds of artifacts I like. Also, for support characters, if you do get substats with energy generation percent, that would be pretty good as well. But it's pretty random. It is really random. I think the main stat is set in stone. So for example, the Force Field Glove has HP as its main stat. The ID card has HP as their main stat. But you're always going to get attack on the hand shuriken. You're always going to get attack on the Unstable Molecule. So there are some artifacts that are more designed for DPS characters. Some that are designed for tanks, like the Force Field's Glove and the Asgard Shield. Those are primarily for tank characters. And then we have the Sling Ring, which is HP based. The wearer gains a shield equal to 24% of their max HP. So you could use this defensively as well. I don't think this is really that necessary, in my opinion. It's kind of like a D tier artifact, if you ask me. And then there's the Shield Flight Pack. This one's okay, but it is HP based as its main stat. I don't really like that. Increases the wearer's attack speed by 40% for 10 seconds after they use a skill or an ultimate move. Now, this could be quite nice for Doppelganger as well, if the substats are good. So again, it really depends on where the substats fall. Make sure you're getting those that, if you really want to min-max this game, though, and you get past the blue stage pretty quickly, probably by day 3, day 4, you're going to start picking up some purple artifacts. So don't level up the blue artifacts too much. It's a bit of a trap. Just use them for what it is for just now. You don't need to spend a lot of resources by upgrading them. That's why I haven't really done so. The purple ones I have done a little bit more, though, because I think that is worth it. But for the blues, anyways, you don't really need to. They also have less substats overall than the purple ones as well. You have more. You can see like 4 of them, or 3 additional substats here on the purple. They're not always that way on the blue ones. Some other good ones, though. This one's not bad either. The Gamma Mutagen. It does have attack as its main stat, increases wearer's energy generation by 20%. So depending on what kind of substats you get, this could be pretty decent as well. Again, Asgard Shield is going to be more for tanks. Force Field Glove more for tanks. unstable molecules for DPS. There is also the Midnight Gun, but this is crit damage. And while that is nice, I feel that would be more relevant to a secondary artifact. So if you get your crit rate pretty high, or you happen to get this and it's stacking up crit rate like on a higher version of this, like a purple version or higher, this could be quite good, because once you get to level 35, you do get a second artifact, and that's going to change things quite a bit. Again, you're adding a second one, but I don't think, and somebody might be able to correct me from the beta, I'm not entirely sure that you can stack 2 Avengers ID cards, things like this, where it increases all allies attack by 15%. I don't think this stacks to 30% with using 2 ID cards, but please let me know in the comments down below. I am not 100% sure myself. But typically, I think you want to use some different artifacts. It might not even let you equip 2, actually. That's kind of what I remember, is that it might not even let you equip 2. Some people might already be level 35, though, so if you are, let me know in the comments down below. Either you can't equip 2 of the same one, or it doesn't stack, so just keep that in mind. But by the time you do hit level 35, you're going to need a range of artifacts and understanding basically what your characters do. And I think that means more than anything. But if you do want to min-max, of course, you want to just see like where your upgrades go in terms of the substats, and maybe not even considering upgrading them unless they have good substats. Like, I actually quite like the one that I have on Scarlet Witch. Like, this is other than the flat defense over here, like all of this went in, all of my upgrades went into attack percent, which I'm not mad about. So this was something really good there. Just something to keep in mind when you're playing the game, when you're upgrading your artifacts, because the resources for this is a lot more finite than the other stuff with regards to highlights and just your character levels and things like that. So just kind of like a beginner progression video here in terms of upgrading your character. I just wanted to do this for you guys because some people were asking about this as well. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below, and more Marvel Mystic Mayhem on the Boilon channel to come. That's it for me. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.